be recorded and posted to a YouTube. So just for your information, if you want to turn your camera on, we would love to see you. All right, just a couple more minutes. If you just joined us, we're gonna wait 2 more minutes till 9:05 to start. We will be recording and posting to YouTube just for your information, whether you want to turn your camera on or not. We would love to see your face though.
Closes and you feel like falling down, I'll carry you home tonight.
All right, everyone. We are going to begin now. Welcome into the Engineering Info Night session with orientation leaders Kayla and Danny.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Kayla. I'm a rising sophomore and I'm from Houston, Texas. And I am majoring in civil engineering.
And I am Danny. I'm a rising junior from Georgetown, Massachusetts. I'm a web design engineering major with a minor in computer science engineering. And now we would love to hear from you. We're just asking, what's your name? Where are you from? What's your major? And it looks weird on the screen, but we want to know, how do you say it? Caramel or caramel? We welcome you into unmuting yourself, turning on your video if you feel comfortable, or if you want, you just type in the chat.
I'll start off. My name's Jack DeMulemeester. I'm from Seattle, Washington, and I'm going to be doing computer science and engineering. And I say caramel.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Jack. Anyone else?
I can go next. My name is Tiffany. I'm from San Jose, California. I am majoring in computer science and engineering, and I say caramel.
Thank you for sharing.
I can go next. Hi, I'm Ashika. I'm from San Jose in the Bay Area. I'm majoring in computer science and engineering, and I say Carmel. Sorry, my dog's like barking in the background.
No worries. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else?
You can also type it in the chat if you want.
All right, going once, going twice, third time.
I go. My name is
Awesome.
Jonathan Zan. I'm a professor from the bioengineering. Anybody here from bioengineering? Oh, I'm going to leave. Wow. I think that was the most efficient use of time. Just to let you know, I know it seems like a lot of you are computer engineering, computer science engineering related or major. I just want to let you know right now in the bioengineering field, the hot area emerging right now is called bio AI. Basically using artificial intelligence to replace the human hands. They can do a lot of things, crazy things. It has not been done yet, but it's on the horizon. And using the artificial intelligence in silico to design drugs, to design materials, to design teeth, and to design the bioprocessing, and to design the biomanufacturing, that without any factory, everything is done in computer. So look at that. That's going to revolutionize the bioengineering field. And Bay Area, we are terribly, we have a lot of computer engineers. Okay, I don't worry about to hire them, but we only have about 200 qualified bio AIists. I'm leave this homework for you. Guess what is the entry level salary for them? There's difference between bio AI versus bioinformatics, by the way. Okay, bioinformatics is established field. Bio AI is a booming area. It's unestablished. A lot of things it is in horizon, and wait for your guys to be very creative, very innovative. Honestly, you want to ask me where this one leads to? Do you have a paper? I have one paper, I have two, but again, very infancy. I'm not satisfied with it all. Okay, so there's a huge opportunity. I'm just trying to sell, right? I'm trying to marketing my bioengineering department. So I know you guys major in computer science, engineering. Great. Okay, so please visit the bioengineering department. Talk about it. We have courses too. All right, we are not just dealing with the cells and the proteins. We do have bio AI sequence. Okay, a lot of programmings and a lot of mathematics matrices, those kind of things, which I'm a biomolecular person. Okay, so for me, I use the AI, artificial intelligence, to design small molecule inhibitor. And the last quarter, there was 3 computer science seniors, and they first program, and using the bio AI program, they programmed whatever, they seriously computer generate a small molecule can inhibit the Staph aureus infection. It was a very rare, strange molecule. Hey, but that's the first computer generated molecule. It's not non-human. Seriously, it is non-human, but great. So not perfect. That's starting point. So I'm saying the entire field is it's in very infancy. So you guys very, very welcome to come over to looking at it and chat with our bioengineering faculty and students. And if you're inspired by all things, and assuming you can do all this biology in the computer. Hey, you guys watch those a lot of sci-fi movies, right? It can be real now. So sorry, enough marketing. Engineering. Any questions? Okay, so Since there's no bioengineering students and no questions about the bio AI, bioengineering, so I'm going to sign off. All right. But
Jonathan, there are a few bioengineering students.
Yeah,
Really?
bioengineers.
Yes.
Why don't you guys? Hey,
Because I chimed in a
TA.
while ago. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, you guys are hiding behind. Okay. I advised you just a couple of days ago. Okay,
That's
you
a
hear what I
great-
said.
That's a great transition into our slide about all of our different majors in the engineering school. You all just heard quite a bit about the bioengineering major. Then there's civil, computer science and engineering, which is a majority of the engineering school. It makes up, I believe, over 20%. Then you have electrical and computer engineering, electrical engineering, general engineering, web design engineering, or mechanical engineering and web design engineering. It's a good amount.
Sorry, David, I'm so sorry, but civil is civil, environmental, and sustainable engineering. And a lot of environmental engineering students think we don't have environmental, but we do. So let's just make that clear in case anyone was wondering. I'm sorry, keep going.
No worries. We should definitely get that fixed for when we send these out. Then you have a whole list of minors. These are all the minors that, yes, all of them. I'm assuming every single one of you sees your major right there. I encourage look at some of the other minors because going from engineering major to minor can be very easy. For me, I'm web design engineering. I only need 2 classes, get computer science and engineering minor. So yeah, and moving on.
Okay, so there's a lot of ways to get involved on campus, and we have a bunch of engineering clubs. I'm not going to go through all of them because there's a lot, and I feel like there's a lot more than just this too, but you can read them. I'm involved in ASCE, which is the first one, American Society of Civil Engineers, and I'm also involved in SHIP, with Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, and they're super fun ways to get involved and very good informational and professional clubs to help you with your resumes and career fairs and all of that stuff. So you should for sure look into that. And we can also link this website in the group chat right now. So
I just want to add another I just want to add a very important the society. It's called the National Society of Black Engineers, and we've been with sponsored them for a long time, and it's going very strong. And the project that they've been doing recently was very interesting. So yeah, please check them out.
I'd also like to add, I'm part of Association for Computing Machinery. For all of you computer science and engineering majors, I highly recommend checking that out. Moving on, the engineering core curriculum. Every engineer is required to take from Math 14 or Math 11 to Math 14. This is just Calculus 1 to 4. A lot of you may have taken AP Calc in high school. Some of that could satisfy your requirement for this. You have to take Engineering 1 Lab and Lecture. These are both 1-unit courses that meet for about the lectures, and I believe depends on the day, but you can take them in separate quarters. It meets once a week, and it's actually a lot of fun. You get to meet a lot of different engineering disciplines that you wouldn't normally meet in your classes because you're a little split up by major. Then on top of that, you need the Santa Clara University core curriculum. You don't usually have to take a language as long as you took 3 years in high school, which is very nice from the engineering school. I believe we're the only school at SU that gives us that. And I can tell you, I don't want to do Spanish again. I'm very grateful. Another really awesome thing for engineers is you can double dip any of your core curriculum requirements. So something I did was Poly 2 double dips for social science and CNI 3. CNI is your culture and ideas. You will definitely learn more about that during your advising session if you haven't already had it. There's specific requirements for your major, which you will definitely get a list of those. And you have to complete a pathway, which is kind of you take different classes with a emphasis on learning about a certain aspect of today's world. Like my pathway is the digital world. And you declare that at the end of your sophomore year.
Okay, so for your classes, you're gonna have them in a few different buildings, but the main ones for engineers is Skitty, Keefe, also Skitty is Serato Campus for Design and Innovation. Um, Computer science labs are also held in Heaphy, but it's not just science labs. We also have, I took a few of my civil classes in there, and there's a bunch of other engineering classes. And then you're not just gonna have them in those two buildings, you're gonna have a few other ones as well. I know for math classes, a majority of them are held in one of our other buildings. But yeah, I feel like there's going to be a bunch of different ways to get involved and where you're going to have your buildings. And now we're going to introduce our faculty that is with us today. So if you would want to introduce yourself, Dr. Zhang.
Okay, so I already introduced myself. I think I'm a faculty at bioengineering, and currently I'm the chair. And basically, I was majoring in organic synthesis, and then evolved from organic chemistry to bioengineering. And now I'm working on the bio AI for drug designing. So I'm pretty much soon will join your computer science and engineering department. That's kidding. So I'm saying this, my lifetime career experience basically said that engineering is a highly interdisciplinary area. Don't let the major, the title, whatever, to lock you up, okay? Once you know, like when I'm teaching in my classes, the difference between engineering teaching, bioengineering teaching versus the biology teaching is biology, literally, we teach you what is a piece of fish. And bioengineering, we teach you the way to fish. All right. So once you learn that way of fishing, and then don't limit yourself. You can apply to all the engineering majors, minors, and then highly interdisciplinary, and make something yours. So that's what's going on. That's my personal opinion. So don't limit yourself. World is yours. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Zhang.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ricardo Padilla Jr. I have the longest title ever. I'm the programs director for diversity, equity, inclusion. As you can see, I am a staff person, but I've come to see that I'm very involved. And it's really, you can read everything on the screen, but what I really am is I'm just here to be a support for all students, to really help the social emotional side of the students. So help connect you to all the resources on campus. There's a lot of resources on campus. There's a lot of people that are here to support, but it can be very overwhelming as an engineering student. And so I just try to be that point person. I also oversee our diversity and inclusion student center in Skitty. And that's a place where I try to, where students can go study, they can get free snacks, mental health snacks. And I try to bring the resources around campus there. So our students don't have to feel like they have to travel around campus, hope that they meet someone, hope it's a good interaction, when really what they're thinking about is time to study and preparing for midterms and finals. So in a nutshell, that's what I do. I also oversee our outreach programs. I'm currently actually running an outreach program right now. So if you see me turn off my screen in about 10 minutes, it's because the high schoolers are coming back from dinner time. So I also support any of the orgs that want to do outreach. I've worked with SHIP for their outreach programs. I'm currently working with LSU, NSBE to kind of see what we can do for next year, the Maker Club. So while I am in the School of Engineering, I do support STEM. And I'm really just here to help any student that needs help. So yeah, nice to meet everybody.
Thank you for sharing, Ricardo. And lastly.
Hi, Dr. Tanya Nilsson, known as Dr. T. So I don't really respond to Dr. Nilsson. So Dr. T, please, is how I respond. I am faculty in obviously civil, environmental, and sustainable engineering. I'm also the incoming vice chair of the department. I do teach both for civil and then mechanical engineering students take all their mechanics classes at the lower division through the civil department. And that's my favorite stuff to teach. My PhD is in structural mechanics. But for me, really my big passion, it says there that I do research in materials, construction methods, but the big thing I do research in is also best practices in engineering education. And so education research, and that's where I'm very, very, very passionate and happy to talk to any of y'all about anything, because it's really fun to be a first year and there's lots of opportunities and you're going to be making a lot of decisions and doubting and wondering and questioning, and there's a lot of support at SCU. So I hope you find a place, but I'm inviting you right now that you can consider me a resource as well.
Thank you for sharing, Dr. T. And now for all the students, it's your turn to ask some questions. Anything that you've had on your mind about what classes will look like, or how much homework you'll have, what work-life balance is like. We have some faculty and staff here to help. Also, if we could utilize the raise hands feature, that would be great. Or you can type in the chat. Any of that would be amazing. Yes, Gertej, sorry if I mispronounced it.
Yeah.
Gertej, okay.
Quick question. So I was at SCU for a tour, like on like the welcome weekend or something. When I was at the Sparta campus, I was wondering if the makerspace is like available like all the time, or do you have to, it's like specific permission and whatnot?
You do have to go through their training classes. And once you go to the training classes, and there's different levels of training for different stuff that's in there. So I think they have, and they have a website, so you could just Google SCU Makerspace to get all the details. And moderators could have David and Kayla more detail, but it used to be 3 classes. They may have changed that. And then as long as it's their open hours, it's not 24/7, but they have a pretty broad number of hours where it is open for you to go have fun.
Yeah, and then a following question on that is there going to be any like homework associated with going there?
Often in engineering 1, there is, and then especially in the lab. Well, I guess I should. Dr. Kaczynski, who oversees engineering 1, used to do that, so I can't guarantee that. But then, even in the civil, environmental, mechanics, and materials class that the civils and the mechanicals take, there is at one point where students design their own balsa wood beam, and a lot of students actually will go in and use the laser cutter to cut the wood instead of, so they can really like chop out material to reduce their cross section in a very clever way. And so there's a lot of classes where you have opportunity, especially mechanical and in the design classes.
Yeah, Kotaj, you are bioengineering student.
Yeah.
So if you take BioE 163, molecular device engineering, you have to use that to run your lab section, which is capstone. So for example, this year's project is $100. I ask students to engineer non-invasive glucose monitor. They have to use in Maker's Lab to make chases and make those rings, make those boxes to contain the things. Okay, last year was the oximeter for COVID-19 detection. So that's BioE undergraduate courses, and you are required to use that for entire quarter.
Alrighty, well, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, just to inform you, you're bioengineering, so we do have a bio 3D printer, which is much more advanced than the 3D printer over there.
Nice.
You print the cells and the tissues and those kind of things. So
that sounds incredible.
You will get that with Dr. Maria Mobat, like the biomaterial science and biomaterial engineering courses in upper division. So a lot of crazy stuff and fun stuff.
Looking forward to that, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And then just to kind of add on to that, like I put in the chat, in your Camino, there should be a Maker Lab tab, and it'll have, that's where they put their calendar of when they're available, all the trainings you can sign up for. Part of the trainings are on Camino. You have to watch like certain videos, do certain slides. That's all will be on there. So that way it's always available to all students to know. And the other thing about the Maker Lab is it's available to all students. So if you have friends that are not in the School of Engineering, they can also get trained. That's part of Skitty. They can also just do all of that and get trained as well. So you can have your friends from different departments, different majors, different units on campus to be there as well.
Awesome. Thank you all for sharing. It looks like we have questions rolling in the chat. First one, will the bioengineering program get ABET certified in the next 4 years?
Oh, that's always got that. Actually, we do not go ABET, and we will go WASC, right? That's another government certified accreditation. From our point of view, actually, that's more stringent than ABET. Literally, ABET now be re-examined and re-credit every 6 years, and the WASC, you need to do that like every 3 years. And then every year, you need to submit your self-evaluation to the government agency. So actually, there's a lot more work than a WASC. And I got this kind of question a lot. And for the bioengineering, which is kind of a new engineering major compared to civil, compared to MAC, compared to ELAN, those are so-called traditional engineering major. They are traditionally need ABET accreditation. Bioengineering is kind of relatively new on the block. So the reality is you don't need ABET to go anywhere. Go to Stanford, Harvard, MIT for PhD degree, go to Genentech, Imaging, Stryker, any big companies for jobs. No, nobody asks you ABET for bioengineering, okay? But that's untrue, probably untrue for the traditional engineering majors. They probably will check your ABET accreditation. So I got a lot, and I will send we have a department statement specifically address these questions, and I will send them out to the new students and post them on the bioengineering department webpage. Okay, so just to be consistent. And that just for the information, there has been discussion about the bioengineering going to join or not join the ABET. Actually just happened last academic year, and the entire department had a really in-depth discussion, and finally we decided to decline the offer from the ABET. Actually, we got invited to apply for the ABET, so we decided to. But that doesn't not mean in the next 3 years or 6 years we engineering can change their mind and then we'll go for ABET again. Okay, that does not mean that. Just right now we still stay with WASC, which is another accreditation agency. Accreditation. Okay, so.
Great answer. Thank you. For those of you asking questions in the chat, Dr. T is answering back in there. Next one that I'm seeing for computer science students, what kind of laptop do you recommend? I know personally, you do not need to worry about Windows versus Mac. I have a MacBook Pro. I do know that there are some applications or some stuff that you'd want a little bit more higher power for. Usually I'd look for something Intel i7 chip or M1 chip or higher. But yeah, that's really it. It's mostly pretty free flowing. Next one I'm seeing, unless anyone, Kayla or any of our faculty or staff want to chime in with usually.
I'm for the last one. I am a lead student as well. Honestly, the only thing that's going to affect your schedule with lead is that 1 unit seminar that you take for 2 quarters, but it's honestly not that hard and doesn't really affect your schedule at all, to be honest. For engineering students in general, like it is common for us to take 20 units or more at times, but I feel like for your first year, you shouldn't worry about it too much right now.
Ashika, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I just had some general questions. Like, what's like the engineering like workload? Because I know it's like maybe harder than some of the other department majors. And also another one for like I think you mentioned intro to engineering is one of the classes we have to take freshman year. Like there's the lecture and the lab, and we can take it in any order. I was wondering if you would like, if any of you guys have taken it, or like which order you recommend or something like that.
I would like to make a comment about that with engineering one. So engineering one lab is really where you get exposed to all the different majors. So if you are waffling on where you want to go, or I even had, it was great. I had a civil student who went in and played with circuits and went, oh my God, and switched to electrical engineering. That is not a switch that normally happens because those are two different sides of the brain, civil and electrical. It was awesome. But at the same time, I had an electrical that went, no, I want to play with buildings and switch to civil. It was bizarre. But the one thing I want to point out, depending on your major and your curriculum, like in the civil engineering students, we tell them not to take the lab or the lecture the first quarter. And we really push the lab because our students already have 2 labs fall quarter. You want to look at the 4-year plan that your department suggests and just make sure you're not taking the lab on a quarter where you already have, say, a physics lab and another lab that you might have, because 3 labs in a quarter is a lot, especially your first year. And then I'll let the Kayla and those guys answer as far as whether or not, you know, what quarter for the lecture.
Kayla, would you like to start?
Yeah, I can go. For engineering one, I took the lab my winter quarter and I took lecture my spring quarter. But honestly, it all depends on like your major and like your schedule, because I know some people who took it both of the classes one quarter because it just fit better for them. I couldn't do it because it was just too many labs for one quarter, but it honestly just depends on like your own schedule. And like Dr. T said, you should recommend looking at the 4-year plan.
Yeah, I had the exact same schedule. Lab winter quarter, lecture spring quarter. I do remember you don't have to worry too much about the time commitment for that one. The lab can be a little bit more when you get to the final project. I know for me, at least, it was build a robot, and it was a little bit more of a daunting task, but that's all just once a week, and usually really, really fun. I ended up enjoying it more than hating it. So I am seeing next question. I am I'm undeclared in engineering and leaning towards CS and engineering. I had my advising and registration appointment already. My advising counselor said that I would need to talk with someone since the major is full. Who would I contact? Okay. We will, yep, Dr. T. Yes, we will get you their email after that. If you could drop your email so I can get back to you with the correct, yeah.
Okay, does anyone have any more questions for our faculty?
Dr. T, it looks like you have something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to do with, y'all sent out the questions like how much homework to engineering students or whatnot, like what's the work-life balance. I just want to point out, I always, and Kayla experienced this, I always have my first year students about 4 weeks in reflect, how's it going? What's different? And one of the biggest things that always comes out of that, and Danny, you may, have experienced this as well, but one of the big things that always comes out of that is the students say it is so different than high school, in that in high school, you spend so much time during the day in the classroom. That's where the learning happens. And yeah, you have homework at night, but the majority of the learning is happening while you're in class. And it's this transition to college where you're like, wow, I have all this free time because I'm actually only in a classroom maybe 15 hours a week or maybe 16 hours a week or whatever it is. As opposed to in high school, you were 16 hours in 2 days. And so you think, oh, I have all this free time, but in reality, it takes a while to figure out, oh, all the learning, not all, a huge part of the learning is actually on you happening outside of the class. So hopefully whatever's happening in the classroom is facilitating that process and getting you set up, but there's a lot of expectation that you're then doing homework and you're doing problem solving and you're investigating, maybe watching videos in advance if it's a flipped class, that you come in prepared to do whatever the activities are, so you're strong in, so that you can succeed while in the class. But yeah, be prepared for that, because it's a very different reality. And I don't know if Danny or Kayla could comment on what that switch was like for them, but that's the biggest thing I hear from first years when they go, whoa.
Can I add to that? Actually, for bioengineering, and if you think first year is already too much, then wait until you got into the junior and the senior years. Then that's really the fun starts, because you will start to semi-independent or independent read a lot of papers, work on the project, expecting a lot of essay writings. Even the exam, they are in the format of essay. So you guys gonna do a lot of readings, like Dr. T said, the lot of homeworks, but we always encourage students as a study group, so that we find out that that's very efficient. You know, when a small number of students, they study together, they challenge each other, and they develop, you know, the final answers for the essays. And that's a very efficient way to learn things. So do use that kind of format. Find your buddies, form a study group. That's encouraged. Okay, and then the new building, we do building a lot of these kind of what do we call it? That study room, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so you can very easily to book it, reserve it, you know, shut the door and start to screaming at each other, you know, to brainstorming, those kind of things. That's really, really helpful. And yeah, so expecting that, all right? And it's fun.
I can definitely say when I do stay with other people in the class, I do much better on the tests. It's unbelievable, and you wouldn't think it would help that much. Speaking to first year experience, I had a little bit of a weird first year since it was all online. But trying to adapt to it, especially the core system, is a little tough, where it can feel like you're a little lost and a little behind at some points. But as Kayla said, utilizing those office hours, that's where you get a lot more understanding, and you can kind of attack those smaller points that you don't quite understand, but the professor might have to speed past during class.
Yeah, honestly, it is very challenging at first. Like, it is a hard schedule to get used to, but if you use the resources, SU has great resources for students, and like just finding something that works for you and going to your professor's office hours and working in groups helps a lot.
Here's the trick. All the professors love to see the students come to their office hours, okay? It is the most boring things we sitting alone in the office during the office hours, okay? So if you come, we were like, wee! Finally, there's the... So don't be afraid, okay? You know, do take advantage of the office hours. Professors loves you. They really, really appreciate it. They want to see you. So no need to be afraid. I know first year, you kind of, oh, that's a professor. That's, you know, whatever. No, it doesn't matter. We love to see you. We appreciate it, your visit, okay? So do take advantage of that. And then don't be afraid. There's a good question. I might ask a good question or bad question. No. All questions are good. Okay, so don't put yourself in this kind of evaluation before you walk into the professor's room, or so be free. Okay, so this is the little trick. Okay, professors love to see the students in their office hours. So do that.
Dr. Zhang, we have one more for you. Since bioengineering
Okay.
is interdisciplinary and covers different subjects all at once, what are some tips for studying effectively so that I can recall all that info?
Say it again. I didn't hear you at the last sentence.
Because bioengineering is interdisciplinary, how is the best way to study to recall all that info?
Go to the Bao department website, and they have a lot of info, especially on the right hand side panel. you will see click undergraduate, and then there's just click it, and then it will open up those lot of infos. And then in the undergraduate, we kind of group them into tracks. So we kind of design the course sequence within each tracks. However, you will see there's also stars on the specific courses we call a technical elective. For that, you can forget about tracks. You can pick up from each other. So that's starting point. And then, go to the class. Yeah, first year, we have about E1 and about E21, those kind of very fundamental bio engineering things. And, we will start introducing these kind of areas. Then you will know who to talk to, So then you, by the way, all the bioengineering students will sign a faculty advisor. All right, so this is just like I call academic parent. Hold your hands from the first year to the to the fourth year. All right, so always go to your faculty advisor for questions or directions. Said, oh, I'm interested. For example, I'm keeping saying about AI, but this is the area I'm interested in right now. Saying about AI, okay, I don't know that much about the computer. I know molecular, but I don't know. And when I got started for that question, if you don't know who to talk to, then go to your faculty advisor. He or she may not be the one doing that, but definitely, I guarantee you, your faculty advisor know to point to the correct direction for you. Said, okay, here is the professor. Please talk to that professor. Knock his door, knock her door. And you know what? Go back to the one. Our professors love to see you in office hours. Every single one of us. Okay, so don't be afraid, just explore, all right? But the starting point is about department webpage. All right, so there's a lot of information. By the way, we try to keep it updated consistently because there's a lot of internships, a lot of co-op, and a lot of these medical school shadowing opportunities, and we keep updating them, okay? So, and the jobs too, by the way. So that's also another very very rich information resources over there.
Can I actually say something to help answer Gerardo's question as well, just regarding retention of knowledge? This is going to hurt. Y'all aren't going to want to hear this, but you have been disadvantaged. You have come through your K through 12 100% in the Leave No Child Behind system. I started teaching before that started, and I have seen the change in the students because you have been in many of the schools you have attended, not everyone, but in many of the schools you have attended, you've been taught to tests. You haven't necessarily had a lot of opportunities to just creatively learn and problem solve and do project-based learning because there's been all these standards you've had to go to. And it's left a lot of times students with the impression that there's one right answer and your job is to find that answer. And you're going to see very quickly in college, we're going to say things like, it depends. And it's not because we don't know the answer, it's because it depends. Because in engineering, there are multiple solutions that could fit and solve a problem. You have to learn how to assess and judge which best meets a set of criteria that you decide to establish is how you would rank a better solution. So what's going to happen in your first and second year is you're going to still get into habits to power dump and learn the information. For example, if you're assigned to read a chapter in a book and you read the chapter and you don't take 5 minutes to just summarize that chapter when it's over, but instead you go, whoops, done, and close the book and move on to a new topic, your brain just power dumped all that information. You just told your brain none of that mattered. If you take 3 minutes at the end of every class and summarize the key topics you learned that day, and within 24 hours, look back at that, you will be moving that information into your long-term memory and keep it out of short-term. There's going to be classes that build and build and build on previous knowledge. And it'll be frustrating because as you go through the math and physics classes, even though math 11 is a prereq to 12 and 12 is a prereq to 13, they're discrete classes. They don't rely on each other. But then suddenly you're going to get into a bio-E or a civil or a mech class. And they're like, so remember when you did derivatives? And we're going to expect you to remember. So your goal has to be, can I explain this to someone else when I'm studying? And that's why the power, as Danny was mentioning, groups often the students will pose questions at each other and put their explanations out there, and somebody else might go, "Ooh, no, 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 no. I know there's a hole in that." And if you can explain the concept, you've moved beyond just rote memorization, and that's one of the first steps of moving it in deeper. So just hopefully that helps a little bit. And I'm sorry for all coming in disadvantaged.
All right. So with that, I think we're going to move into our student panel. The faculty and staff are welcome to stay, but this is more open. Anything you want to ask us, be it engineering related or not, ask away. Actually, we have something to start with. Is there anything you wish you knew freshman year? Do's and don'ts, things we can do to get ahead for internships, etc. Kayla, would you like to start?
Sure, let me look at the question. Honestly, Dr. T went over a lot. Just like know what you're getting yourself into. It is very challenging and it's harder for sure. You know, like high school, you didn't have much to do after, but I feel like in college you learn more from doing your own research and like doing your own studying. So just like I guess find ways that you can do that. And then for internships and stuff, go to the career fairs. I feel like the School of Engineering and like a lot of the clubs have amazing opportunities for students. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, you can't get an internship your freshman year, but you can. And it's a lot of fun. And even if you don't want to get an internship, it's a lot of fun to just go to and see and like interact with all of the companies there. So I do recommend going to all of the career fairs.
For myself, I think that one of my first do's is be proactive. Don't let stuff sit till the last minute. I can't tell you how many coding projects I'm like, man, I have 12 hours to get all this code done or else I'm late. It's really tough. Don't put yourself behind like that. And I think don't be discouraged about having a tough transition your first quarter. I definitely didn't do too hot in my first few classes. When I was starting to transition into student life balance, it's your first time away from home. Keeping a kind of positive attitude and almost having the energy to keep on trying, keep on putting the effort into every class is one of the most important things to me. For internships, I'd say the school utilizes Handshake. Get on that. There's a lot of internships posted on there. And start early. Companies are posting during the summer. I know that plenty of people will have an internship during their fall quarter for this like summer setup. It's the faster you can get on it, the faster you can start working towards it. It helps.
Oh, I think there's another question. Oh, does getting involved with research or internships become overwhelming? Would you recommend to start our first year? I don't think it gets overwhelming. Dr. T did mention that it is during the summer, so you don't have to worry about it during the school year. I personally have an internship this summer, and I think it's very useful to have one as your freshman year, but you don't have to get one your freshman year. I think the year they recommend getting one is your sophomore year, but yeah, it's not overwhelming at all.
I would like to add something for bioengineering internship opportunities. Again, traditionally, so just looking at you're probably going to be amazed. And the biotech company is as many as computer companies in this Bay Area, all right? But their operations different. Computer companies, competition companies, they are always outgoing. And they got a lot of news, those kinds of biotech companies, due to its nature, they are not kind of outgoing. As a matter of fact, they usually do not come out to the campus to take the job fair. You can call them a little bit arrogant because they are there. They're giants. Okay, so what you need to do that is just who said it? Danny said it. Be proactive. Right, be proactive, and there's a lot of websites and to search for. As a matter of fact, for me, I'm biker. I just bike around our campus, 10 minutes. You can find 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, about 8 biotech companies. 10 minutes biking. You just need to be proactive, okay? And in San Jose, there are about 200 AI companies, startup companies. Can you believe that? There are a lot of them. Only thing is they usually not trying to come to the campus. They are very research oriented. So be prepared. You will be challenged intellectually and the skill sets. And a lot of my students, they don't get the internships in the freshman like summer, but almost a lot of them gets internships starting in the sophomore summer, and almost everyone will have something in the junior year, and after you graduate from senior, I'm expecting everybody gets job. Okay, so but again, be proactive. A lot of opportunity for BioE. This is like a different, because other majors, like I said, they come to the campus for job fairs, those kind of things. All right, and there for the bio tech companies also, just be aware. There's two type of internships. One is the techno internships. Basically, you're working on the research project, the product development, and top secret stuff. But they also have these so-called the marketing. You know, for example, if you're interested, I do have a large portion of students going to the marketing of the bio product, like drug marketing and the bio device product marketing, those kind of things. They have a lot of opportunities of that. But again, just be aware the career trajectory are different in these two. Okay, so you again, you will know. Feel free to try. You will know. A lot of my students try marketing and try techno, and then they decided, which is purpose to be here. This is Bay Area. This is one of the advantage to study in SCU. We are really in the center of Silicon Valley. A lot of opportunities here. Okay, be proactive, just like Danny said. Don't be afraid.
I'm going to say, and that applies to all major. I know Dr. Zhang is focusing because he's the BioE chair, but we're in the Bay Area. So it may seem like, you know, it gets advertised that this is the Jesuit school of the Silicon Valley and everybody thinks of computer engineering, but you can't have the offices for computer engineers and the places for people to live and all of that, say, without civils. So we have our own career fair. We're the only department that has their own just civils career fair, and we have more employers than we have students to get hired. You cannot have all the infrastructure and the machinery and machines for hospitals and the everything without mechanical engineers. Mm-hmm. You can't have any of the Silicon Valley without electrical engineering, right? So whatever your area within the School of Engineering, web design, like there are clients here in the Bay Area. It is a booming, growing area. So everybody's good.
This is a very nice strategic, I call that strategic location of the campus. Like I said, a bike, pick a bike and start a ride and you will be surprised. And those companies are world famous. You saw them in those newspapers and in those things. You're like, wow, that's right here. Yeah, right here to our campus. So I was being shocked a couple of times already. So, yeah.
I'd like to say thank you to Dr. T for being active in the chat, helping answer questions. It seems we're all caught up. Anyone else have any more questions?
Yeah, I just have a basic question. How is like just life at SU? How's it going?
I like that question a lot. Honestly, I really enjoy life at SCU. It's mostly because I'm really involved. I put myself out there. I'm part of a hockey team. I'm part of Bronco cybersecurity club on campus. It really seems like when you do get out of your dorm, it's always a lot more fun. I can also tell you that campus, if you haven't visited, is absolutely beautiful. Really beautiful campus. It's hard to not appreciate it when you just get there.
We have a nickname called a resort campus. So several years ago, we took international students. We have a summer exchange camp, and we compare 3 campuses on the peninsula. from Berkeley, Stanford, and our campus. They love our campus, especially in the evening when the sun sets. It's so clean, quiet, beautiful. So they call it resort campus. Danny was absolutely correct. Enjoyed it.
Kayla,
Yeah,
how do you
like
feel?
Danny said, oh yeah, like Danny said, I feel like SU is great, and the more you're involved, the better it is, because then you find your own like community, and it's nice getting to meet everyone. Because I love the faculty and I love the students. I feel like that's what makes SU like a great campus, in my opinion.
We have another question. Are there any good study spaces on campus that you would recommend going to? Kayla, do you have any favorites?
Me, I'm always in Hefe. I just feel like all the civils are always in Hefe. It's my favorite study spot just because it's where my little community is. But I really like Skitty. I love just sitting outside, honestly. The SU is really pretty, and like the garden is very peaceful. But yeah, what about you, Danny?
One of my favorite parts about the new building Skitty is there's a beautiful terrace on the third floor. It has couches, chairs, and an amazing view. On top of that, the library, the third floor is super quiet. That's really great. And really anywhere that I can find a study room by myself, I really enjoy. Sometimes during like finals week, it can be tough and a lot of them are reserved. But yeah, it really depends on what work I'm doing, on how level of quietness. But you definitely will be able to find somewhere that you kind of make it your own and you're like, oh, that's my spot. Next question. Any tips of how to balance schoolwork with still having a social life? I need to start on this one. I think that something that's helped me a lot is at least planning as much of my time as I can. I'll make a weekly to-do list with every assignment that I know I'm going to have. And it's a little therapeutic getting to cross it off in red. But being able to kind of have an active mind on this is due this day, I have to get it done, and being like, I want to do this night, then I have to do this beforehand. Being able to kind of just schedule out helps a lot.
Yeah, time management is key, but something I got from another civil student who just graduated is to treat the week like a 9 to 5 and just work really hard from 9 to 5 every day, and like maybe sometime after, and then you have the weekends free. And it's honestly, I started doing it spring quarter and it helped so much. I had so much more free time than I did the first 2 quarters.
This is what my professor many years ago told me, which I think is really good. She said, work hard and play hard, but never mix two things together. Okay, so when you work, you study, forget about everything, 100%. You're playing, then play hard, be crazy, forget about your textbook, forget about your homework. All right, so it works for me. But I have to admit it. In the past 4 years, after I become chair, that's impossible. So a lot of things happens all the time. Ding, 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 email this, email that. So it's very hard. But I think you guys, first year freshmen, you should be able to manage that. So have fun, work hard, play hard, but never mix these two things together. Don't bring your homework to party. That's what they said.
I once had a student tell me something that she did, which I thought was so brilliant. If you find you're struggling with the commitment that you made to yourself, like what Kayla is mentioning, the 9 to 5, or what Danny said, like, I'm going to get this done and I'm going to set these times aside. What she did, because she knew sometimes she would struggle, is she would make a schedule for the quarter where if she had, 3 or 4 hour breaks in between a class and a lab or something, she'd have this schedule that she said, okay, that's when I'm going to be in the library, I'm going to be in Hefe, I'm going to be wherever doing my homework. But then she shared that with all of her friends so they knew when she'd be available to grab lunch or available to go work out. And they held her accountable. if they would see her walking around on campus at the time that she said she wouldn't be available, they'd be like, aren't you supposed to be in HEFE? And she would go. So just sharing that with friends helped her because she knew she had to be accountable to it. So I always thought that was brilliant, and I thought I'd share that.
Those are both really, really great tips. Thank you. Do we have any more questions? Anything, shout out, type it in chat.
How's the food? I don't know. I'm just asking random stuff now.
That's a perfectly acceptable, that's a common question we get. Benson, so there's only one dining hall on campus. It's Benson. There's a lot of options. There are times where I would get an option multiple times a week and get tired of it a little quickly. But I think everyone can find something at Benson they like. I believe that. You have to try everything, but you will find something you like.
And I heard you have like a supermarket down below. This is like
Yeah, see, Safeway.
Yeah, we have a cellar
Mhm.
downstairs in Benson.
And I just walk a little bit across the street of campus. I thought that was like one of the best breakfast place
Oh,
in Bay Area.
Bill's.
What's that called? I forgot.
Are you thinking of Kramer's?
Yeah, something like that.
Bill's
Bill's
Cafe.
Cafe.
Huh?
Bill's Cafe.
Bill's
Yeah,
is
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Oh, Bill is great. Yeah, that's
The best Vietnamese sandwiches in the Bay Area are right next to Rocco Taco.
yeah.
Night.
I agree. I was
Sandwiches
trying to
are
mention that.
bomb. I
Yeah,
have
it's-
some downstairs waiting for me for supper.
Yeah,
They're the bomb.
yeah.
That's
I agree.
really
It's
good.
really good. Yeah. So
Okay, next question. What's been your favorite engineering course so far? Kayla, would you like to start?
I don't want to be biased, but my CNG7 class I took fall quarter was probably my favorite. It was a lot of fun. I had it with Dr. T, so.
Woo woo.
As for me, I took computer networks Cohen 146, which it was all about how the internet works. It was way over my head, but I found learning about every boring protocol so interesting. I didn't know that I loved computer science until I was like, wow, my friends would fall asleep watching this while I'm just like in the computer. I'm like, ooh, I want more. Following up on that, do you have any favorite projects you have done so far? Ooh, that's a good question.
I think I have a favorite, but I really enjoyed my engineering one project. We built a little like candy dispenser. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah.
One that comes to mind for me right now is my Cohen 163, where we got to design a new mobile ordering app for In-N-Out. It was really fun trying to make it look really professional and get their logo, their colors down, and it ended up looking really good, although it did make me really hungry every time I worked on it. Thank you for
Okay.
coming, Dr. Zhang.
Yeah, thank you. Also, before you leave, can we all take a picture really fast?
oh, sure.
Yeah, Danny, do you want it?
Yep, I can do that.
All right.
I have a civil engineering project in my house right now. I fill up my swimming pool. Now seems like the ground cannot be leveled. Dr. T, any engineering formula for that?
Oh, so basically you probably have, obviously you're beyond the bearing capacity of your soil and you're probably having a little bit of a shear failure with the overload of the pool. You
Oh
want
my God.
clay? If you're on expansive clay, plus with the drought, the water table is sinking. Oh, we could have a long conversation. We want more students.
Oh, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I definitely need to sit in your course to learn about those things. I only
All
know
right.
cells, the molecules, but it's good. Like I said, engineering is everywhere. It's not just in the classroom, not just in SCU. It's everywhere. All right, so practice it. Nolan.
All right. Before you leave, everyone with their cameras on, let's just get a little smile. I'm gonna go 3, 2, 1. Great. Got it. Thank you, everyone.
There's a good question
right.
in the chat that I think that Kayla and Danny should answer, because my answer would be, yes, get the book before class starts. They might have a different opinion.
um,
Thank you. We
Thank
do
you.
want to be mindful of everyone's time. So if you do have to go, please feel free to leave. But if you have any more questions, we can stay for a little bit longer too.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes,
Okay. For Madeline's question, I know I definitely use online resources to get a PDF. They are everywhere. It's very easy to look them up. I've even had professors tell me look online. You can use, so you should get an email from the campus bookstore. They have a great interface where you can choose all of your courses and what section you're in, and it will give you all the info about every textbook you need. But take that info, go other places, Amazon, check those prices. I know that the bookstore has a price guarantee match, and there are free online PDFs you can find.
I also want to mention too that I'm working with our students to see if in DISC, when students graduate or they're done with the courses, if we can collect them and then give them out to students for the next time. So hopefully, waiting to hear back from the bookstore, which I know they won't be happy, but it's either going to be undercover or it might be over the cover, but we're working on it right now.
Okay, does anyone have any more questions?